The White House is holding its first ever crypto summit today. Well, here to discuss this further is the Director of Financial Regulation Studies at the CATO Institute Center for Monetary and Financial Alternatives, Jennifer Schulp. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
So before we get to today's event, President Trump signed an executive order establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve. The order mandates a review of federal digital asset holdings and prohibits the sale of Bitcoin from the reserve. Tell us, what does all this mean?
So it means that the Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies that the United States government has seized in criminal and civil forfeiture proceedings will now continue to be held by the U.S. government. Before, those cryptocurrencies were being sold into the open market at some intervals. President Trump has determined that it is strategically important for the U.S. government to keep those cryptocurrencies rather than selling them.
And as we know, the White House will be hosting that first ever cryptocurrency summit. What can we expect from this event?
So this event is a big deal for the cryptocurrency industry. The Biden White House didn't have any interest in engaging with the industry, and Trump has come in as the, quote, crypto president. It will be interesting to see what comes out of today's discussion. There are a lot of big names in the cryptocurrency industry that kind of cover the broader digital assets ecosystem. People that are interested in Bitcoin, people working on the Ethereum blockchain, on the XRP blockchain, and on and on and on. It's a big deal to be talking at this point, and we'll see what news breaks besides the strategic Bitcoin reserve.
And as we know, because the administration wants to establish the U.S. as I would say, the top, a leader in the crypto industry, how has this administration and their plans differentiate between supporting innovation and enforcing regulations on crypto firms? We know that his SEC chairman, he wanted to make sure that people were able to invest in crypto and not have the same sort of regulations that we saw during the Biden administration. Tell us more about that.
Sure. So this administration is an about face from where the Biden administration was on crypto. And we've seen that with the Securities and Exchange Commission coming in, setting up task forces, and stopping a lot of the enforcement activity that had been happening under the Biden administration. There's a lot of work to do to create a regulatorily friendly environment for the crypto industry, but the Trump administration has been off to a very fast and very busy start on that work.
And what do you make of the roles so far? You talked a little bit about this of the SEC and crypto oversight under this new administration, and what can we expect moving forward?
I think we can definitely expect a lot more talk from the White House, but we're also seeing action. Congress has started moving stablecoin regulation bills, which had stalled out in prior Congresses. Congress, of course, moves at its own pace, so we'll see what happens there. But I would expect continued quick movement out of the regulatory agencies that President Trump has more control over. Once the new SEC chair is confirmed, which has not happened yet, I expect to see even more activity coming out of the SEC and the CFTC, for example, in putting forward a more durable, rational crypto regulatory framework than what we saw in the Biden years.
And even in this past election, we saw some very much pro-cryptocurrency senators being elected. Well, now they're senators that were elected, but the candidates at the time, such as Pennsylvania Senator David McCormick and Ohio Senator David Moreno. But what safeguards should be put in place to prevent any sort of financial instability?
Well, financial instability is an interesting question because it's not at all clear that crypto itself would lend itself to financial instability. What we should be most concerned with here are kind of the basic consumer protections that we expect in the financial services industry, protecting consumers against fraud. protecting them against having their money stolen in these areas. The SEC is off to a good start and starting to think about what type of disclosure regime is applicable. And the CFTC has started to put a lot of thought as to how to handle cryptocurrencies that are not themselves securities. Really, the focus here should be on protecting consumers from fraud, not on enforcing a financial stability mandate over the cryptocurrency industry.
I think you put that very well, is to prevent fraud. It'll be interesting to see what comes about at today's summit. We're going to hear from industry experts and leaders. And of course, as we mentioned, the first ever crypto summit, we have to remember President Trump, he spoke at that crypto event in Nashville last year. So again, making true on those promises, and it'll be interesting to see what comes about. Again, Jennifer Schulp from the CATO Institute, thank you so much again for your time.
Thank you.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.